There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job. That man was blameless and upright, and one who feared God and turned away from evil. There were born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His possessions also were 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she-donkeys, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the children of the east. His sons went and held a feast in the house of each one on his birthday, and they sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. It was so, when the days of their feasting had run their course, that Job sinned and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned, and renounced God in their hearts." Thus Job did continually. Now it happened on the day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, that Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan,
"Whence comest thou?"
"From going back and forth in the earth, and from walking up and down in it."
"Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil?"
"Does Job fear God for nothing? Haven't you put a defensive wall around him and around his house, and around all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his house and wealth is increased in the land. Put forth your hand now and touch all that he has, and he will renounce you to your face."
Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand.
So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. It fell on a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house, that there came a messenger to Job.
The cattle were working hard, and the donkeys were just grazing in the field next to us when these Sabaeans attacked. They stole all the animals and killed all the field hands. I'm the only one who got out alive to tell you what happened.
While he was still speaking, there also came another and said,
"The fire of God has fallen from the sky, and has burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you."
While he was still speaking, there came also another and said,
"What now?"
"The Chaldeans made 3 bands, and swept down on the camels, and have taken them away, yes, and killed the servants with the edge of the
And you
sword."
alone have escaped to tell me?
While he was still speaking, there came also another and said,
My sons and daughters eating, drinking wine. A great wind from the wilderness struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young man. They are dead. You alone have escaped. Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. Yahweh gave and Yahweh has taken away. Blessed be the name of Yahweh.
Now it happened on the day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, that Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan,
From whence comest thou?
Satan answered the Lord and said,
Going back and forth in the earth, and walking up and down in it.
Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause.
And Satan answered the Lord and said,
Skin for skin, yes, all that a man has he will give for his life. Put your hand down and touch his bone and his flesh. He will renounce you to your face.
Behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life.
So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord, and struck Job with painful sores from the sole of his foot to his head. And he sat among the ashes. Now when Job's 3 friends heard all this evil that had come on him, they each came from his own place: Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. And they made an appointment together to come to sympathize with him and to comfort him. When they lifted up their eyes from a distance, and didn't recognize him, they raised their voices and wept, and they each tore his robe, and sprinkled dust on their heads toward the sky. So they sat down with him on the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spoke a word to him, for they saw that his grief was very great.
Let the day perish in which I was born, the night which said, there is a boy conceived. Let the day be darkness, a black hole in space. Don't let God from above seek for it, neither let the light shine on it. Let darkness and the shadow of death claim it for their own. Let a cloud dwell on it. Let all that makes the day black terrify it. As for that night, let thick darkness seize it. Don't let it rejoice with the days of the year. Don't let it come into the number of the months. Ah! Turn that night into pure nothingness. No sounds of pleasure from that night ever. Let them who are good at cursing to curse that day. Those who curse the day, those who were ready to stir up Leviathan. Then its morning stars turn to black cinders, waiting for a daylight that never comes. For the thing which I fear comes on me. That which I'm afraid of comes to me. I am not at ease. Neither am I quiet. Neither have I rest. But trouble comes. My rest is shattered. My peace destroyed. No rest for me ever. Death has invaded my life.
Eliphaz the Temanite answered,
If someone ventures to talk with you, will you be grieved? But who can hold himself back from speaking? Look, you have instructed many. You have strengthened the weak with your hands. Your words have supported him who was falling. You've made firm the weak and the feeble needs. But now it has come to you and you faint. Behold, happy is the man whom God corrects. Therefore do not despise the chastening of the Almighty. For he wounds and binds up. He injures and his hands make whole. He will deliver you. In 6 troubles, yes, in 7, no evil shall touch you. In famine he will redeem you from death. In war from the power of the sword. You shall be hidden from the scourge of the tongue. Neither shall you be afraid of destruction when it comes.
Oh, that my anguish were weighed, and all my calamity laid in the balances. For now it would be heavier than the sands of the seas. Yet you destroy me. Remember, I beg you, that you have fashioned me as clay. Will you bring me into dust again? Haven't you poured me out like milk and curdled me like cheese? Leave me alone, that I might find a little comfort before I go where I shall not return from, to the land of darkness and of the shadow of death. The land dark as midnight, of the shadow of death, without any order, where light is as midnight.
Shouldn't the multitude of words be answered? Shall this man full of talk be justified? Should your boastings men make hold their peace? When you mock, shall no man make you ashamed. For you say, my doctrine is pure. I am clean in your eyes. Surely, I pray that God would speak. That he would open up his lips against you. That he would reveal to you the mysteries of wisdom. For wisdom has 2 sides to it. Know this, that God exacts of you less than what your iniquity deserves. They shall have no way to flee. Their hope, the giving up of the Spirit.
Be silent! Leave me alone, that I may speak. Let come on me what will. Why should I take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hands? Behold, he will kill me. I have no hope. Nevertheless, I will maintain my ways before him. This also shall be my salvation, that a godless man shall not come before him. Hear diligently my speech. Let my declaration be in your ears. You also put my feet in the stocks and mark all my paths. You set a bound for the soles of my feet. Though I am decaying like a rotten thing, like a garment that is moth-eaten.
Your own mouth condemns you, and not I. Yes, your own lips testify against you. Are you the first man who was born, or were you brought forth from the hills? Have you heard the counsel of God? Do you limit wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we don't?
My spirit is consumed. My days are extinct and the grave is ready for me. Surely there are mockers with me. My eye dwells on their provocation. Now give it pledge, be collateral for me with yourself. Who is there who will strike hands with me? Few have hidden their hearts from understanding. Therefore you shall not exalt them. He who denounces his friends for a prey, even the eyes of his children shall fail. But he has made me a byword of the people. They spit on my face.
How long will you hunt for words? Consider, and afterwards we will speak. Why are we counted as animals which have become unclean in your sight? You, who tear yourself in your anger, shall the earth be forsaken for you? Or shall the rock be removed out of its place? Yes, the light of the wicked shall be put out. The spark of his fire shall not shine. Death shall devour his members. He shall be rooted out of his tent where he trusts. He shall be brought to the king of terrors. Living in his tent will be kids that are not his. And sulfur shall be scattered on his land. His roots shall be dried up. Above his branch shall be cut off. His memory shall perish from this earth. He shall have no name in the street. He shall be driven from light into darkness and chased out of the world.
How long will you torment me and crush me with your words? You have reproached me 10 times. You aren't ashamed that you attack me. If it is true that I have erred, my error remains within myself. Oh, that my words were written. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book. That with an iron pen and lead they were engraved in the rock forever. But as for me, I know that my Redeemer will rescue me. In the end, he will stand me upon the earth. After my skin is destroyed and I am dead, then in my flesh I shall see God.
The joy of the godless is brief. Though his height mounts to the heavens and his head to the clouds, yet he shall perish forever, just like his own dung. According to the substance that he has gotten, he shall not rejoice, for he has oppressed, and he has forsaken the poor. He has violently taken away a house, and he shall not build it up, because he knew no quietness within him. There was nothing left that he didn't devour, therefore his prosperity shall not endure. In the fullness of his sufficiency, distress shall come upon him. The hand of everyone who is in misery shall come upon him. When he's about to fill his belly, God will cast the fierceness of his wrath on him. It will rain on him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon. The bronze arrow shall strike him through. He draws it forth, and it comes out of his body. Yes, the glistering point comes out of his liver. Terrors on him. All darkness is laid up for his treasures, and unfanned fire shall devour him. It shall consume that which is left in his house. The heavens shall reveal his iniquity. The earth shall rise up against him. The increase of his house shall depart. They shall rush away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man from God, the heritage appointed to him by God.
Is my complaint to man? Why shouldn't I be impatient? Look at me and be astonished. Lay your hand on your mouth. When I remember, I am troubled. Horror takes hold of my flesh. Why do the wicked live? Become old. So how can you comfort me with nonsense? Because in your answers there remains only falsehood.
Can a man be profitable to God? Surely he who is wise is profitable to himself. Is it any pleasure to the Almighty that you are righteous? Or does it benefit him that you make your ways perfect? Is it for your piety that he reproves you, that he enters with you into judgment? Isn't your wickedness great? Neither is there any end to your iniquities, for you have taken pledges from your brother for nothing, and stripped the naked of their clothing. Acquaint yourself with him now, and be at peace. Thereby good shall come to you. Please receive instruction from his mouth, and lay up his words in your heart.
That I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. I would set my cause in order before him, and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know the words which he would answer me, and understand what he would tell me. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tried me, I shall come forth like gold.
And on whom does his light not arise? How then can man be just with God? Or how can he who is born of a woman be clean? Behold, even the moon has no brightness, and the stars are not pure in his sight. How much less man, who is a worm, the Son of Man, who is a worm?
How have you helped him who is without power? How have you saved the arm that has no strength? How have you counseled him who has no wisdom, and plentifully declared sound knowledge? To who have you uttered words? Whose spirit came out of you? Oh! That I was in the months of old, as in the days when God watched over me, when his lamp shone on my head, and by his light I walked through darkness. When I looked for good, then evil came. When I waited for light, there came darkness. My heart is troubled and doesn't rest. Days of affliction have come on me. I go mourning without the sun. My skin goes black and peels from me. My bones are burned with the heat. Is it not calamity to the unrighteous and disaster to the workers of iniquity? Doesn't he see my ways and number all my steps? If I have rejoiced at the destruction of him who hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him. Yes, I have not allowed my mouth to sin by asking his life with a curse.
So these 3 men ceased to answer Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then the wrath of Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, of the family of Ram, was kindled against Job. His wrath was kindled because he justified himself rather than God. Also his wrath was kindled against his 3 friends, because they had found no answer, and yet had condemned Job. Now Elihu had waited to speak to Job, because they were elder than he. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these 3 men, his wrath was kindled.
Job speaks without knowledge. His words are without wisdom. I wish that Job were tried to the end, because of his answering like wicked men. For he adds rebellion to his sin. He claps his hands among us and multiplies his words against God. Do you think this be your right? Or do you say, my righteousness is more than God's? Out of the north comes golden splendor. With God is awesome majesty. We can't reach the Almighty. He exalted in power, in justice, and great righteousness. He will not oppress. Therefore, men revere him. He doesn't regard any who are wise of heart.
Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind.
Who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man, for I will question you, then you answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if you have understanding. Who determined the measures of it if you know, or who stretched the line on it? Whereupon were the foundations of it fastened, or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut up the sea with doors when it broke forth from the womb? When I made clouds the garments of it, thick darkness as a swaddling band for it. Marked out for it my bound, and set its bars and doors, and said, here you may come, but no further. Here shall your proud waves be stayed. Have you commanded the morning in your days, and caused the dawn to know its place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, and shake the wicked out of it? It is changed as clay under the seal, and stands forth as a garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, the high arm is broken. Have you entered into the springs of the sea, or have you walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you, or have you seen the gates of the shadow of death? Have you comprehended the earth and its breadth? Declare if you know it all. What is the way to the dwelling of light? As for darkness, where is the place of it? That you should take it to the bound of it, that you should discern the pass to the house of it. Surely you know, for you were born then, and the number of your days is great. Have you entered into the treasuries of the snow, or have you seen the treasuries of the hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? By what way is the lightning distributed, or the east wind scattered on the earth? Who has cut a channel for the flood water, or the path for the thunderstorm, to cause it to rain on a land where no man is, on the wilderness in which there is no man, to satisfy the waste and desolate ground, to cause the tender grass to spring forth? Does the rain have a father, or who fathers the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice, the gray frost of the sky, who has given birth to it? The waters become hard like stone, when the surface of the deep is frozen. Can you bind the cluster of the Pleiades, or loosen the cords of Orion? Can you lead forth the constellations in their season, or can you guide the bear with her cubs? Do you know the laws of the heavens? Can you establish the dominion of it over the earth? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds, that abundance of waters may cover you? Can you send forth lightnings that they may go? Do they report to you, here we are? Who has put wisdom in the inward parts, or who has given understanding to the mind? Who can number the clouds by wisdom, or who can pour out the bottles of the sky? when the dust runs into a mass and the clouds of the earth stick together? Can you hunt the prey for the lioness, or satisfy the appetite of the young lions when they crouch in their dens and lie in wait in the thicket? Who provides for the raven his prey when his young ones cry to God and wander for lack of food? Do you know the time when the mountain goat gives birth? Do you watch when the doe bears fawns? Can you number the months that they fulfill, or do you know the time when they give birth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young, they end their labor pains. Their young ones become strong, they grow up in the open field. They go forth and don't return again. Who has set the wild donkey free, or who has loosened the bonds of the swift donkey? Whose home I have made the wilderness, and the salt land his dwelling place. He scorns the tumult of the city, neither does he hear the shouting of the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture, he searches after every green thing. Will the wild ox be content to serve you, or will he stay by your feeding trough? Can you hold the wild ox in the furrow with his harness, or will he till the valleys after you? Will you trust him because his strength is great, or will you leave to him your labor? Will you confide in him that he will bring home your seed and gather the grain of your threshing floor? The wings of the ostrich wait proudly, but are they their feathers and plumage of love? For she leaves her eggs on the earth, warms them in the dust, and forgets that the foot may crush them, or that the wild animal may trample them. She deals harshly with her young ones, as if they were not hers. Though her labor is in vain, she is without fear, because God has deprived her of wisdom, neither has he imparted to her understanding. When she lifts up herself on high, she scorns the horse and his rider. Have you given the horse might? Have you clothed his neck with a quivering mane? Have you made him to leap as a locust? The glory of his snorting is awesome. He paws in the valley and rejoices in his strength. He goes out to meet the armed men. He mocks at fear and is not dismayed, neither does he turn back from the sword. The quiver rattles against him, the flashing spear and the javelin. He eats up the ground with fierceness and rage, neither does he stand still at the sound of the trumpet. As often as the trumpet sounds, he snorts, "Aha!" He smells the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Is it by your wisdom that the hawk soars and stretches her wings toward the south? Is it at your command that the eagle mounts up and makes his nest on high? On the cliff he dwells and makes his home, on the point of the cliff and the stronghold. From there he spies out the prey, his eyes see it afar off. His young ones also suck up blood, where the slain are, there he is. Moreover, the Lord answered Job, Shall he who argues contend with the Almighty?
Moreover, the Lord answered Job.
Shall he who argues contend with the Almighty? He who argues with God, let him answer him.
I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. Therefore I abhor myself. I repent in dust and ashes.
It was so, that after the Lord had spoken these words to Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite,
My wrath is kindled against you, and against your 2 friends, for you have not spoken of me the thing that is right as my servant Job has. Now therefore, take to yourself 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you, for I will accept him, that I not deal with you according to your folly. For you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job has.
So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went, and did what the Lord commanded them, and the Lord accepted Job. The Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. The Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there to him all of his brothers, and all his sisters, and all those who had been of his acquaintance before, and ate bread with him in his house. They comforted him and consoled him concerning all the evil that the Lord had brought on him. Everyone also gave him a piece of money, and everyone a ring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Keren-Happuch. In all the land there were no women found so beautiful as the daughters of Job. Their father gave them an inheritance among their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons to 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days.